And just to be with you, I would do anything. There's no price I would not pay, no. And just to be with you, I would give everything. And I would give my life away.
Good morning, everybody. Been trying to play with the exposure rate, but oh well, if I keep, blacking out, it's just the beautiful geoengineered sky behind me breaking and the sun shining through. Today's video is going to go a little bit differently. I wanted to tell everybody some personal things about myself. I wouldn't consider it self-prophecy. It's things that God revealed to me that are relevant to my life. Some may not be interested because it's not like a truther video. However, this is a witness of what is to come for my life that God revealed to me at a time where I was almost hopeless. But first, the video I made yesterday, there's one thing that I forgot to include. Regardless of whether I completely understand if someone wouldn't believe, they'd be like, well, you're on drugs, you saw stuff that you said it yourself, you couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't, so you could have just seen things that, that didn't happen. Here's the thing. I knew that something was wrong there, and I was in my truck the entire time for the rest of the night, and almost nobody walked out of that building. We're talking about 150, 200 people. Almost nobody walked out of that building. It's irrelevant whether someone believes me or not, because they've been conditioned to think, drug addicts talk out of their mind while they're on drugs. Some do, but I think there's validity to it. So the point that I'm getting at is, as brothers and sisters in Christ, whether you believe me or not, I would ask that you please pray that if at least the situation that I described was possible, that it could have happened, or that the building was ever used in some sort of satanic or evil magic manner, that it be completely destroyed, and that our Father get the credit for it. Whether you believe me or not is irrelevant, but I would just ask you out of love to ask the Father that if it is possible, or that it ever was used in that way, that He completely eradicate it from this earth, and He get the absolute credit for it, and we'll see, just how powerful our Father is, because I know something was wrong there. Anyway, I don't want to keep talking about doom and gloom all the time. A lot of the stuff that we expose, it's negative stuff. It's just bad stuff. So anyway, I mentioned this Madeline character many times, and I firmly believe that God revealed that to me. I'm going to explain today how many people in the New Age, after this does happen, will say, "Oh, He spoke it into existence. You are your own God." Here's the reason that that's not possible. When God first revealed to me the name Madeline, the very first thing I did was, why Madeline? Like, what's important about the name Madeline? And I've said that before, how dumb I was. That God was like, because that's what it is. That's who the person is. It's really irrelevant, the name. I'm just saying, if I was gonna make up some story, I think I would have picked a more complicated name, something that sounds more exotic. It's not that her name sounded plain, just that I was just like, the name is not significant to me, or it wasn't at the time, and now it's become a name that I can't wait to meet this person. But so let me go back. Many of you heard the story that I told with Meg. When I was a little kid, a lot of bad stuff happened around me, and I grew up on this place called Garden Drive. I mentioned it before. It was a horseshoe-shaped road. I lived on one side of it, and my backyard met up with these guys that I would later call brothers, because they just strangely, oddly, kept coming into my life. When I moved from school to school, I was enrolling in a school after moving back from Houston. When this other guy was moving back from Memphis, and this just kept happening, stuff like that. And we became best friends. And the little brother that I speak about, that I said saw angels or was talking to something before he passed away, he was a part of that family. So they were a big part of my life before the two brothers passed, and me and the other one no longer speak. But there was a little girl that was on that road. She was in the very first house, and I met her one time, just one time, and I briefly went to play with her. I asked my parents if it was okay. They said yeah, and I went over there, and we went to play. Now here's the strange thing, because of the stories that I've told about other stuff, I was already active in some things that shouldn't have been involved because I was exposed to it. However, I remember being very nervous over there. Her dad was completely just didn't watch over us at all, and we went into her room, and she wanted me to join some little club or something, and she started like aggressively kissing on me, which tells me that she had already been exposed to some of those things too. And I remember just being so nervous, thinking I was going to get in trouble. Well, my stepmom starts banging on the door, and she comes and gets me, and she's like mad. She's furious. She didn't say anything to the man. She was very, kind of polite to him, but I could tell as we were walking back home, she was just furious. And we didn't have anything to do. They just let me play in my room after that. It was as if, as most of you have heard those stories, that whatever was trying to be introduced into my life, because it was an abomination, that sort of activity with her would have disrupted it. And that just makes sense to me. Now that was it. I never saw her again. I went back to the house, knocked on the door before, and Dad always said that she was gone. We never got to play again. It was very, very brief, and it was odd that I only spent like 10 minutes over there, and my stepmom yanked me out of there, and her attitude was completely different. So, I don't think anything of it. I just thought it to be odd, and around the time that I was living with my dad in that trailer, and all this demonic stuff is surrounding me, and I'm just starting to seek God, and, what is this? I'm just, he's beginning to mold the potter's clay, so to speak, and allow me to come out of that stuff. And there was a certain point there, like even when I would go to work with that carpenter and stuff, I would just put the headphones in my ear all day long and listen to Christian music, because it wasn't even so much that I realized that there was that much demonic stuff around me. It was really that there was a lot of negativity on the job, and I was, I was really just wanted to be focused on me and God all day long. So I go back to the house, and the same depressing situation. Besides Mr. Choppa Style over there, there wasn't a whole lot of happiness in my life. There were, women coming in and out, and some drug use. I was kind of coming out of that, but not a heavy amount. Any is bad though. And it seemed that, besides seeking truth videos and reading in my Bible, which I hadn't done a whole lot at that point, God would really speak to me for whatever reason, usually in the shower. Something about being immersed in water and, being clean. It was just like He would reveal things to me while I'm just standing there, and I don't know, it was just a time of where God was clearly communicating with me, where my thoughts were completely open to Him, and He would just speak to me. The thought of the story that I told when I was walking down Bourbon Street, and I had a completely clear path, and I turned my head around for a split second, because I don't know, something told me to turn around. Nobody called my name. There was, I don't know, something. I turned around, and then as soon as I turned in, boom, I mean, we head-butted hard, this girl. And this beautiful eyed girl was looking at me, and she's like holding her head, obviously, I mean, we hit hard. And her boyfriend, I don't want to say nervously, but I will say aggressively, said, "Madeline, come on," grabbed her by the hand, and they walked off. And I didn't think much of it, but something told me to turn around again, because I went to look for her. But you're talking Mardi Gras, Bourbon Street. There's millions. I don't know if it's millions. There's hundreds of thousands of people on Canal Boulevard, Bourbon. I mean, it's packed with people, and so I didn't see her again. But I kept thinking about how beautiful that girl's eyes were, and I think I know why we headbutted, but obviously the enemy was probably laughing about it, I didn't think anything of it. I went there, I partied miserably the rest of the time. I remember just not wanting to be down there anymore, and I forgot about it. So I'm spending time with God, you know. And one day as I'm bathing, cleaning myself, and I'm just focused on Him, and He's just revealing all this stuff to me. He says the name Madeline. I don't put any of this together. Like I said before, the very first thing I did was say, why Madeline? What's the significance of that? And so anyway, a little bit more time goes by, and I keep thinking about this girl that I headbutted, and He reveals to me that that was her. And I'm like, okay, you know, she was absolutely beautiful. And I still don't match up the little girl back down Garden Drive. So one day I'm going back over this Madeline thing, and I'm seeing, you know, parallels to the stories in the Bible. I've thought, you know, I wonder if other people have parallels to, you know, certain names. People named David. People named there was a king over in Saudi Arabia. I think he's still one of the richest men over there, and his name was Solomon. And I was just like, wow, that's pretty neat. And so I started thinking about people named John and stuff like that. My point is that when he said Madeline, I'm like, is that supposed to be like a parallel to Mary Magdalene? And why not just Magdalene? And he told me very clearly. And he told me very clearly that it's the G. It's almost like a symbol of, you know, like the Freemasons, they use the G. Well, the G, from a occult standpoint, is like their stamp of having, I don't want to say like demonic possession, but having control over this person. We've often heard where God will give a new name, and so it's just sort of a symbolism for, I don't know, it's stuff that He revealed to me. I hope this is making sense. And as He's revealing all this to me, for some reason, just just strangely, again, I'm telling you these stories after I found all this out, but this wasn't all revealed to me at once. It was in steps, you know. And He makes me think of that the first girl that I ever kissed, the first little girl, whenever we were 5 or 6 years old. She kissed me, actually, but and He said that was her. And just the warmest, loving feeling came over me, you know, as I'm sitting there, and I'm just spending time with God, and I began to bawl like a baby. And I said, Father, that's the most amazing love story that I've ever heard. You know, when I was 13 years old, because I was lonely, just like everybody else who wants to be loved, and very depressed, and not really receiving a whole lot of love from the family that I grew up around. Possessional love. I didn't need for anything, but there was no affection. All these little boys and girls are having, you know, relationships in school. We think it's important at the time. I asked God, you know, when I would meet my wife, and He told me at what age, and it was like it was double the age that I was, you know. I'm like, that's too long. I can't, you know. I just rejected it. I completely rejected it. And though I didn't meet her at 30 years old. He said 30 years old. Though I didn't meet her at 30 years old in the way that I thought that I would actually, you know, we would fall into each other's arms. We did connect, and I don't think that was His original plan. Obviously, there's you know, there are variables. Things change. Maybe had I listened to Him and just been accepting and obedient, you know, maybe we would have met way sooner, and we would have just, you know, met, connected, and did everything according to His plan. I honestly believe, this is just my personal belief, that, you know, my dad was a huge fan of Disney. I saw all the Disney movies as a kid. I went to Disney World several times as a little one, even once before I could even remember. They brought me over and over and over. You know, the way the occult likes to throw things in our face in movies and stuff, I've often thought, you know, why did we have to headbutt? And there's something about that whole true love's first kiss thing that changes something. I don't know exactly what it means, and you don't have to accept it. I'm just telling you what God revealed to me as I'm thinking through these things, and I'm asking Him, you know, about all this, and He's like, you know, in all the Disney movies, the kiss, The Little Mermaid, all that other stuff, and the way that Disney has inverted these things, that there was something special about, I can't just run up to her and kiss the girl, you know. It doesn't work like that, but there's something about a kiss, the first one, that changes a whole lot of stuff in my life. I don't know when I'm going to meet her. You know, it's up to him. That whole, I really think the more I've thought into the way the occult uses divination, I think in the beginning, because they access that realm, they're shown the way that something would be as of that time right there. And it looks like a wonderful packaged plan. It looks awesome. And when time goes on, while we're seeking our Father, there's something that changes it. There are variables, you know. It's as if you could see, I don't want to call it parallel, you know, worlds, but it's as if something changes, and then that aspect of the entire reason they were going to get into whatever evil works that they're doing has changed, and you reap what you sow. You know, the Father uses their deceit for His glory. So I don't know what all that means. It is a beautiful story, you know, to me. I know without a shadow of a doubt that is, you know, a promise from God that He revealed to me when I didn't deserve it. I wasn't really working for the kingdom. I was seeking the kingdom, but I didn't know what to do. I was in an absolute state of fear, seeing all this demonic stuff around me and not even understanding what it was. But I wanted to share that story with everyone. I've asked them, you know, is it all right for me to talk about this? You know, is this something you want me to just keep to myself? It's not anything that I think this information is gonna, you know, affect anyone or give someone a revelation. But it's a beautiful love story that I know in my heart is a promise from my Father for me. And I also know the closer that we get to it, the more distractions that she gets, and Brad Pitt lookalikes and so, you know, whatnot, try to basically take interest in her to distract her. So I would ask, for me, you don't have to believe it, but just please pray for this girl Madeline, that she see truth in everything, and that she be protected. This is my soulmate and the woman I'm supposed to be with. So anyway, I don't know. I just thought it was a beautiful love story, and it will be even more amazing when I get to look back and say, you know, this is, you know, God revealed this to me before we ever actually formally, you know, met as adults, and here's the proof of it. You know, I know that I'm supposed to be with you because my Father told me so, and I shared it with the people in my community. Anyway, I don't know. I just want to share that. So, God bless. I hope y'all have a good day. All right, bye.
If I told you my story, you would hear whole